You see what I'm saying? How y'all brothers doing? So we teaching the sister that these things that happen in our communities is because we didn't keep God's commandments. What's your name, bro? Martin? Say it again. Marty? Mari. Okay, what's your name? Keontae and Mari. Okay. So read 15 again.
This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So slavery was what? What would you say slavery was? Y'all learn about slavery. How old are you? 15? You 15 too? 13. In school, do y'all learn about slavery? You don't learn about slavery, right? But God said that these curses will come upon you and overtake you if you don't keep his commandments. Give me verse 68, right? So this is your history being taught in the Bible. This is your history that you went through for not keeping God's commandments, right? Read that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way thereof I spake unto thee.
So in history, right, in the Bible, the Israelites, when they walked into Egypt, but God said, read it again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
How did we get to America? With ships. So this is your history in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? But they're not even teaching you that. They're not teaching you that how you got to America was on slave ships. That's why you don't know that, because they're not teaching you. Read.
Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be.
Slow down, bro. Read that part again.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
God said you wouldn't see your homeland again, because you think you from where? America, right? You think that's your homeland, but that's not your homeland. Your homeland is Israel. God said you wouldn't see that again because you broke my commandments, so I will bring you into slavery on slave ships to America. Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Y'all ever seen any slave movies? What they do in them slave movies? They was doing what? So hold on, read that part again.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemy.
That's what you see right here. We were sold on auction blocks. God said you would be sold into slavery. But guess what? This is a history book right here that we reading about your history.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Read on.
For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
So in slavery, your mothers and your fathers were sold for slaves. You see what I'm saying? It said for what?
For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
No man shall buy you. Even to this day, we still in slavery. We not free. Because guess what? If you do anything against the laws of this land, what happens? You go to jail, right? And what happened in jail? If you go to prison, what do? They make you work.
That's right.
That's a form of slavery. It's called the 13th Amendment.
Right.
But guess what? We out here selling drugs to our own people. We gang banging. We killing each other. We fighting each other. Also, we get thrown in prison and become slaves all over again. You see what I'm saying? Read. Give me verse 48. Give me verse 48. So what are we teaching y'all right now? Our history. You see what I'm saying? And what are we using to teach you your history? No, what is this book we use? We using a Bible. Do you go to church? You go to church? Good. Don't start going. What you need to do is come to a school where you learn your true nationality.
Right.
Because in Christianity, they told you this was Jesus Christ. That ain't in the Bible.
Right.
Has a white man ever came to save us? No, and it ain't gonna happen. But guess what? Jesus Christ looked just like you. And you have to repent and come back to your true nationality as the Israelites.
Right.
That's how you're gonna get saved out of this captivity.
Bring it out.
Read.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
So who sent the so-called white man against us? Based on what we just read. Yeah, read it again for him.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
Who sent them against us? We stopped keeping his commandments. That's why he sent the so-called white man against us. That's why we went into slavery. Kimani, how you doing, Kimani? How old are you? You 15. What's your nationality? African American. So on this side, right, we got the 12 tribes of Israel. On your right side, that's African American, right? But God called you from the tribe of Judah. You see that? So what we going over? Read this again for him.
This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy, which the Lord shall send against thee.
So what I was teaching the brothers is that God said we would serve our enemies, which God sent against us. You see what I'm saying? Why? Go to verse 15 again. Go to verse 15 again. Why do we have to serve our enemies? Why is our names changed? Right? Matter of fact, go to verse 37 first.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
See that? God said you would be an astonishment and a proverb. Calling yourself African American, that's a proverb. Because you can't find African American in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? You can't find, what's your last name? Smith. What's your last name? McDowell. Who? John? Keyshawn. That's your last name? Damn, that's the first time I heard that. Keyshawn. But either way, those names was given to us in slavery. You see what I'm saying? So read that again.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
See that? That's a byword. That's not your real last name.
Right.
That's a slave last name. And when you look up those last names, it goes back to a plantation. Right. Smith is the Smith plantation. You see what I'm saying? McDowell is the McDowell plantation. I don't think you got a plantation for your last name, but your ancestors was on those plantations. You see what I'm saying? Read it again.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
So God said amongst all the nations that God led us to, that's what we call ourselves at. You see what I'm saying? But why did it happen? See if y'all still paying attention. Why did it happen? We didn't keep God's commandments. That's right. That's why he brought us in slavery. You see what I'm saying? Read on.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
So not only was your name changed, God said you was going to serve your enemies. Read.
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
Why was our name changed? Why do we have to serve our enemies? Because we didn't follow God's commandments. Right. Read on.
In hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
Because where you get your clothes from? The store. Who own those stores? White people. Our people don't own nothing, right? So one of the curses God said was you would have to serve your enemies for everything that you want because you didn't keep his commandments. You see what I'm saying? You had a question? Okay, read on.
And in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee.
See that? What's this? That's a yoke of iron. That's why y'all have to learn y'all history. You gotta go seek out. Right. You gotta go look and watch these slave movies. A lot of the times they be like slavery is old and all of that. But guess what? They never taught you it was in the Bible. They never taught you that was your history. So that should be personable to you. You should feel some type of way that these things happen. And you should want to know why they happen.
That's the 200 years ago.
You see what I'm saying? Matter of fact, sharecropping, when you look it up, was all the way up into the 60s.
Right.
The 1960s. That was in the time of probably your grandparents. You see what I'm saying? So that's not too long ago, bro. That's the point. You see what I'm saying? And that happened because we stopped keeping our God's commandments. And y'all young men, give me Deuteronomy 6 and verse 5.
Bring it out.
Because we wasn't taught why we went into slavery. We wasn't taught God's commandments that we need to keep.
Right.
You got that? Deuteronomy 6 and 5. Read that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart.
Read.
And thou shalt teach them diligently until thy children.
See that? The commandments were supposed to be taught to y'all. Just like you go to school and learn mathematics, you learn addition, you learn subtraction. These commandments you were supposed to be taught.
That's right.
That's what God said. Read that verse again.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house.
See that? Your parents were supposed to teach you every day God's commandments.
Right.
They were supposed to teach you, look, God said don't steal. God said don't break the Sabbath day.
Right. Get out.
Don't hate your brother and hit your heart.
Right.
These are the things y'all are supposed to be taught. And y'all still young men, so y'all can still be y'all can still be taught those things, but you have to want to be taught.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? You have to want to hear these things. Read on.
And when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So, Kamani, before you leave, you need to know, bro, that these commandments you have to learn every day, every night. Give me Sirach chapter 6. Give me Sirach chapter 6. Start at verse 32. That's the only way we're going to change our communities.
Right.
Because guess what you see right here? You see a bunch of men that used to be like y'all, but now they bugged out on drugs. Now they hating each other. And it's a shame, bro. It's a shame that we out here like this.
Right.
But guess what? Y'all can stop it if you learn God's commandments. You can stop it if you get in this book and learn why these things happen to us. And learn that you're not African American. You're part of the 12 tribes of Israel. That's your God-given nationality, and God has requirements that you should follow, instructions that you should follow.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Read.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 32. My son, if thou...
It said what?
My son.
You young enough to be my son, bruh. God said what?
My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught.
If you want to be taught, you can be taught. Read.
If thou wilt, apply thy mind.
Apply your mind, bruh. Because God gave us the will to do whatever we put our minds to. Read.
Thou shalt be prudent. If thou love to hear.
What?
If thou love to hear.
You gotta love to hear this word. You gotta love to hear God's commandments. That's what's going to get you out of these conditions that we're in. But what our people do, they sitting right here, but they're not coming up. They don't love to hear God's commandments. That's the problem.
That's right.
That's why the white man gonna continue to oppress us. That's why he gonna continue to break us down as a community. That's why we gonna continue to be oppressed more and more. But guess what? The Lord is calling y'all.
Right. What is the nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models.